Hello viewers, welcome back to Daily Retro. Today we have another episode of retro gaming news and additions for you guys. It's been a little while since the last video, just not had that much spare time to be honest. Been doing a lot of stuff with the family and in the garden. You'll see all that stuff on my Instagram if you follow me, link will be in the description for that. But we'll jump straight into the news and then I'll just have a little ramble at the end because you don't want to listen to this at the start. Okay, so there's been an awful lot in the last sort of 4 or 5 weeks worth of retro gaming news. It's hard to know what to prioritise, to be honest. But we'll start off with the announcement of the Sega Mega Drive 2 or the Genesis 2. This is another mini console. I don't actually own the Mega Drive Mini, the original one, but that is being released towards the end of October, I believe, and has a lot of hype around it because it's being programmed to be able to take Mega CD and 32X games as well as the standard Genesis or Mega Drive ROMs, and I think that's really awesome, the fact that Sega are doing that. You don't have to buy extra adapters or stuff like you did with the old consoles, and I think people will really appreciate being able to play those games on a cheaper platform. I think it only costs $100. Obviously I think it's only an American and a Japanese release as we speak, but we may well see a European release as well, so that's really exciting. I'll be interested to see reviews on that before I sort of evaluate if I want one or not. But yeah, that's the first item of news. So the next item of news seems to be a common occurrence on this series. So there's another company that's made a Bluetooth adapter for an old console. This time it's the PC Engine. I know a few of you out there have PC Engines, and basically a company called Humble Bazooka has made a Bluetooth adapter for your PC Engine. I don't believe it requires external power or anything, it just plugs into the original port. When I looked today, as of recording this video, it has sold out very quickly, but as with always with these products, there will be sort of second runs of these products and thirds and so forth when the demand is there, and I think the demand will be there for quite a long time. That just then will enable people to use whichever Bluetooth controller they like with a PC Engine instead of a wired controller, which is really nice to see. Great to see old consoles getting love, as I always say. But yeah, that's the second piece of news, and I'll leave the link for that item down in the description so you can keep an eye on when it comes back in stock. So a more relevant piece of news for you UK gamers. When I was at Doorway to Dorkness up in Doncaster a few months back, the owner was very keen, but it just seemed very daunting to put a lot of his stock on a website, just because it's going to increase his outgoings and stuff like that. Obviously it's going to be very hard to maintain a massive shop as well as online store when it's only a 2-man band, I think, but nonetheless he's done it. He's made a website, doorwaytodorkness.co.uk I think it is. I'll leave a link for that in the description. I think he currently said he had about 40% of his stock on there, and I have had a quick look. It's not the best website like currently, but it is still very functional and I was able to find stuff fairly easily. And of course you can message him about the stock he has got and he will give you a very prompt and descriptive reply, which is always nice to see. Yeah, definitely the best shop in the UK, so you can't really go wrong. Make sure you check out his website if there's anything you're looking for. So penultimate bit of news is something related to Analogue products. So Analogue previously in the past have been a company that doesn't allow sort of third-party companies to come in and modify the software on their consoles. Obviously they can be hacked. I have modified my Mega SG with some custom firmware via the SD card, and that just allows me to play ROMs basically. But what they've surprised everyone with in the last few weeks was an announcement of Open FPGA, which means that the software that will come on the Analogue Pocket will be open source. This means that people will be able to modify the firmware quite freely, sort of thing, and be able to put their own games on there even easier. There is also a developer's kit for that console. Yeah, I really can't wait to see that OS. I think my Analogue Pocket is due for delivery in Q3, so it could be sort of September, October and yeah, I really can't wait to get it, to be honest. It's been a long time coming. I think I ordered it back in November, December last year, and been wanting it ever since. They still go for almost £500 on eBay UK, just because of the scarcity. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing around with that new OS, and really can't wait to see what other people who make the hacking software for those consoles do with that information. And I'm sure that'll be on a future episode of this series. So last bit of news is actually another website. So I found that Nintendo Life, which is quite a big YouTube channel and website as well, have made another website called Time Extension. So this is more of a retro based website. It will give you sort of information on retro gaming adapters like retro tinks and setting up PVMs and old consoles and that sort of thing. And I wasn't really expecting much looking at it. Obviously there is other websites like this, like Retro RGB, to name the most prominent one. But I actually found this website really good. Has very sort of clear, concise reviews on retro gaming related products. So I'll leave a link for that down in the description, and you can have a look around. But that's it for the news, and we'll crack on with the editions this month. So the editions this month is not going to be massively long, to be honest, just because of financial reasons with maternity leave and whatever at the moment with my family. I haven't really had that much time to go to the retro shops either, but nonetheless we've picked up a few interesting items, and yeah, I'll start off with what I picked up sort of a few weeks ago, and that was this. That is the Competition Pro PS3 dual controller charger. I'm really miffed by this device. It has got an on-off button, it has an LED strip around the bottom when it's all on and working. Obviously wanted this to charge my PS3 controllers 2 at a time, because it's very annoying that you have to sort of plug into the console as well to charge my controllers. But I turn this on, LED comes on, only seems to want to charge one controller at a time, with the USB power supply all being plugged into the PS3. So I'm a bit miffed by it. Maybe a little fix is needed, but I'm not really sure. But anyway, that was only £8 on eBay, so it's not really worth crying about, sort of thing. Next up is a much more interesting piece of tech. This is something I've wanted for quite a long time, just for emulation purposes. So you can see I've got my adapters already plugged in it, but that is a Raspberry Pi 400. So the Raspberry Pi 400 has basically a Raspberry Pi Compute 4 module in, which means it has the same tech specs as the Raspberry Pi 4, which is USB-C powered and has a very fast processor. I think it's a 1.8 gigahertz quad-core processor, which is more than enough for a lot of emulation purposes. But yeah, it's got two USB 3.0 ports, one USB 2.0, gigabit Ethernet as well, and dual mini HDMI out. As you can see, I've got my HDMI adapter to the full size coming out of it already. And then yeah, I just put RetroPie on the SD card, which is in there, and then these two adapters in the top are from a previous editions episode where I have the 8-bit do arcade sticks. So the purpose of this machine was, it was actually mainly aimed at point-and-click adventure games, obviously, so I've got the keyboard, so I can play those quite nicely on this, and take it wherever I want as well, plug into any monitor, and then all I need is power, really. I've got a wireless mouse as well, so that'll be useful. But yeah, I can also play the MAME arcade ROMs and like my Atari 2600 ROMs and stuff like that with the arcade sticks via HDMI. And I have played it, and it is really nice to play. The Pi 400, little known fact, is you can overclock the original Pi 4 to 1.8 gigahertz, but it's actually clocked at 1.5 gigahertz as standard, whereas this is overclocked as standard. I think it's just because it's got a better sort of cooling motherboard. Everything's sort of more spaced out, whereas the Pi 4 is quite sort of scrunched up together, and that means they're not so worried about the heat, which is why they can overclock it without needing a fan as such, because it's all passive. But yeah, really chuffed with that. I think it was only £60, which does sound like a lot for a Pi, but as I said, it has got a lot of potential uses. So yeah, really chuffed with that. And then lastly, we just got a couple of games from Games and Collectibles in Gloucester. He has actually sort of renamed the shop on Google Maps now so that people will find it easier. Still highly recommend going there because he's just he's got so much stock. You watch his Facebook and it's just absolutely mental how much stuff he has coming in. Yeah, so we'll start off with the older stuff. I saw this game on Russ's channel, Retro Bear, quite a while ago and thought, wow, I didn't even know that was on PS2, so I picked that up, and that is Wacky Races, Dastardly and Mutterly. Yeah, it's only a CD-ROM PS2 game, which as some of you may know, that means there's only a 700 meg disc instead of the DVDs, which were 4.5 gig. And yeah, it just looks like a fun arcade racer, to be honest. But it was only, as you can see on the sticker on the front, or £5, if you can see that. I'm not really sure, but yeah, really looking forward to playing that, just because I loved watching Wacky Races when I was younger. I'm sure it'd just be a fun game, if not the most amazing game. I think it didn't review that well, but we'll see how it is. It all came complete as well, very nice condition, so I was very happy to pick that up for a £5. And then lastly, added to the PS3 collection again, just because the PS3 I absolutely love it. All the games are so cheap at the moment, well, most of them. Even the collection discs are not even that much, to be honest. But that is Army of Two. So I think I wanted this game when it came out a while back, but never got round to it. It's got 1 to 2 players for the campaign, also multiplayer as well, but I think the premise is you can either play with an AI player through the campaign, or play with a friend locally. And that also really interests me, and I can't quite believe it was only, as you can see on the front, £3. Yeah, £3. Crazy. All nice and complete, very nice condition. And yeah, look forward to playing that most likely with the wife. Yeah, I absolutely love going back to the PS3 for any reason. So it always makes sense to pick up what it looks like a good game. Let me know if you played this before, because I would love to hear your thoughts. But yeah, that's it for the additionals today. So as aforementioned at the start of the episode, guys, I just wanted to give you a quick sort of channel update as well on this episode. So real life has been very busy recently. Caden is almost walking now. He's using his little walker like a Zimmer frame across our house at the moment. It's just absolute havoc. So yeah, that is really nice to see, but also very tiring for myself. So we've got a little bit less time to do sort of these videos at the moment, but still really enjoy them when I do them. So just as a final note, we've got a compilation episode of Guide to Games Room coming out very soon. There's now been 10 episodes, which I can't quite believe. Already mentioned that in the previous video, but you may or may not have watched it already, but I encourage you to go and watch James's episode, Retro Import Gamer. But it's nice now just to be able to collate the answers so far that I've had from people, because the questions are the same for everyone. I'll also be on the TMB podcast. I think that's the second Sunday in September. You'll have to wait for the announcement for the sort of topic on that, but it's something that's very close to my heart, so I'm very much looking forward to being on that. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this episode, guys, and let me know if you've got any questions, and we'll see you very soon. Cheers.